I am Braden,
And I'm Jordy.
and we are going to present some of the positive and negative effects that result from contact in sports.
This topic is important to us because we've both played many sports throughout our lives and we wanted to gain a further understanding of the effect contact had in sports.
This topic has been in debate for a long time as to whether or not contact should be allowed in sports because of the positive and negative outcomes it has. I'm going to discuss the positive aspects that contact has in sports. Literature that I found supports that contact in sport is positive because it provides evidence that it increases pain tolerance, provides a culture and identity of sport, has physiological benefits, resulted in more injuries when contact was taken out, and that teaching proper technique at a younger age helps minimize injury.
I'm going to discuss the negative effects of contact in sport. The literature that I have found supports that contact should not be allowed in sports because it provides evidence that it has been linked with an increase in the number and severity of injuries, has shown an increase in aggressive behavior outside of the sport, and as well has many long-term effects that are resulted from concussions caused by contact in sports.
Breaking news! Our cameraman just came across a big debate going on between Jordy Visser and Braden Jetton about whether contact should be allowed in sports or not. We are very happy we caught this debate going on because this is a very controversial topic and we are about to get the inside scoop on whether it should be allowed or not.
Contact in sport is positive. To support my side, Darling et al. Studied the differences between intentional versus unintentional contact. The results showed that 66% of all injuries occurred from unintentional contact versus intentional contact. Also, Kralowski et al. Studied a zero tolerance for head contact rule. The results of this showed that the number of concussions and the severity of concussions also increased once the rule was implemented.
So I don't really know if I agree with that because two studies, one done by Hegel et al. And one done by Cusciamo et al., showed that when youth were in contact leagues, the injuries were 2 times higher than when they were not in the contact league. So another reason that I think that contact shouldn't be allowed in sports was from a study that showed that athletes' behaviors were actually different in contact leagues, which led to an increase in frequency and intensity of the physical contacts, which actually led to more serious injuries.
I have not considered that, but have you considered the physiological benefits that contact sports have? A study showed that rugby players had the highest increase in bone mineral density than these other sports shown. Another point of mine was a study done by Lesnica et al. This study proved and showed that contact athletes have a higher pain sensitivity than non-contact athletes.
Another result from a previously mentioned study by Hegel et al. Showed that there was an increase in the number of concussions when there was contact in sport. A study done by Karen Bloom, Johnson, and Sebastian showed the negative effects of concussions. Short-term effects were headaches, dizziness, fatigue, and sensitivity to light. What not a lot of people know is that there's also many long-term negative effects to concussions. These include putting these two studies together, it shows that if there's an increase in the amount of concussions that are resulting from contact sports, that the negative effects are very detrimental to these players.
Teaching proper hitting technique at a younger age can also help decrease injury. This study showed that athletes at a younger age rather than an older age performed the technique better and resulted in less injury.
It's funny that you actually say that because McPherson, Rothman, and Howard actually recognized that people say that learning contact at sport at a younger age decreases the amount of injuries. So they tested their hypothesis. Their study compared age groups that learned contact at a younger age and at an older age. Through the results, it was shown that the amount of injuries that occurred at the older age were higher in the population that had learned body contact at a younger age.
My last point of my argument was a study done by Lorenz and Osborne. In this study, it showed that taking contact out of sport should not happen because it'd be taking the identity out of the sport. So taking the contact out of the sport would result in having no sport at all.
Okay, so that concludes our debate on whether contact in sport should be allowed or should not be allowed. And now we're going to talk to you about our confounding factors. So, as far as injuries go, my articles that were talking about injury mostly focused on concussions and head trauma, and Braden's focused more on fractures and muscle injuries and ligament tears. So these are kind of hard to compare and would make them confounding, as well as the age of the leagues that were compared. In my articles, 2 of them compared Atom to Pee Wee, which ranges from kids aged 10 to 12, and Braden's ranged from Pee Wee to Bantam, which is kids aged 12 to 14. So this is confounding because it's hard to know if age was related to how strong they were or if there was other factors that affected injury rates at this age. As well, we both talked about how introducing contact at an early age would have different effects on injuries resulting later on in the sport. And for my articles, the young group kids were starting at 10 years old, and the older age group was 15 years old. And Braden's young group was 8 years old, and his old group was only 12 years old. So these are confounding factors because it's hard to know whether age played a role in it or the size of body. There's just a lot of things that could have been affecting the contact later in life. And yeah, so most of our confounding factors were related to age, differences between our articles, and league differences.
So thank you for watching our video and best of luck in your finals.